every laner and every jungler hates Bel'Veth. All you need to see is this introduction clip to understand that it's not just about the champion, because I've also seen way too many videos this season telling us to go from Raptors into Blue and Gromp invades. And it's not that all the champions like her that do these ridiculously unskilled, unpredictable, random, psychopathic Arkham Asylum level invades. It's that no matter whether she succeeds or fails, she can totally coin flip a game just on this alone. The problem is it's a disease. It's spread to Kha'Zix, it's spread to Graves. You get randomly invaded on your wolves, you get randomly invaded again, and then they die again and again, and you just keep wondering what are they doing, until eventually they get items and now they kill you. The Graves special. The thing is, Bel'Veth has a special hatred from the rest of us because of her absolutely insane Q ability, damage reduction, knock-up spell, reset snowball, and the added benefits she gets simply from doing grubs and heralds. However, I think there's a deeper hatred here that belies the entire identity of Bel'Veth. And that really is, my friends, bad invades that get rewarded, bad jungling that gets rewarded should not exist. So we're gonna go over the best way to actually invade like a human being and come with the best success that doesn't piss off everybody else in your games, and also look at how you, the regular, intelligent, smart jungler, can use strong fundamentals to counter any of these cringe invades you might face in Season 14. And there will be a lot of them because they took away the wall and now they can just walk straight through it. Right, my friends, there are two types of invades. The early invades, level 1 to level 4, sometimes to level 5, but that does very rarely happen, as well as what we call normal invades. And for that, you absolutely must head over to Virkayu.gg. I have a free jungle improvement resource as well as a dedicated program where we have jungle video courses, jungle coaching VOD libraries, weekly free video content seen nowhere else, as well as Q&As and patch note rundowns, as well as a private jungle Discord. And if there's one thing I'm good at, it's making junglers reach their goals, as we saw with the record number of people hitting them at the end of Season 13. If you want to climb faster than anyone you know, jungle diff every game you play, click the link below or head to Virkayu.gg. So the early invades, the one we really absolutely hate Bel'Veth for, are determined by your champion strength early, your laner matchups, how strong the enemy jungler is early as well, where the enemy jungler starts, and as you're going through this checklist, no, not all conditions have to be met, obviously. You can invade with an Evelynn against someone that's stronger than you, but at least some of the things on this list have to be active, or you probably should not be doing a level 1, 2, 3 invade. Remember, you have to also factor in how fast and healthy you clear until level 3 compared to the enemy jungler. And for example, in this clip, you can see that we have a Shaker who does 1 camp, red, and tries to invade a Rengar level 2. While Shaker's laners don't have the best lane states, he can still cheese a camp from Rengar's hand because of his kit, having a stealth and dash, and CC from the fear in his boxes. Oh, and because he doesn't have flash, he has ignite. Now, this champion is designed to do these kinds of things, and it's very irritating, but there's not much you can do about it when he decides to actively do this. However, without the lane states, sometimes you might actually just be killed. Later in the game, though, Shaker invades again, but he has mid-prio, so now the favor is in his hand. Despite being chased down by the Rengar and almost killed, Shaker's bot lane came to their help even if their minion wave wasn't the best, and that's a key thing that will happen in each of these invades. If you're early, if they're coin flip, well, actually they're always coin flip, you don't know which lane is going to rotate. You don't know which lane is actually going to give up things to help you and play around you. You just don't know. So if you just ensure some of the conditions we just mentioned are met, then you have the best likelihood of reducing that probability of failure and increasing the probability of success and enemy jungle rage. It's absolutely hatred infused to see junglers do these things without going by the checklist and getting away with it. This is why Dirk is being nerfed, the lethality is going down just for this kind of thing, or the AD might go down, it depends on which way they go. That's why they nerfed Bel'Veth's damage reduction so you can actually try and kill her back. Now let's get back on track quickly. Remember, if you can invade faster with a faster clear, you have less worries in a duel since the enemy has to deal with the camp being lower HP, lower mana while you're full HP, and that's why a good invade is one where you do your red side quadrant, see where the enemy jungler goes, and cut in. We will have a look at this exact clip a little bit later to show you what the Viego does wrong, and how even if you hate these invades from Bel'Veth, how you can actually counter her for it. Now the thing is, a lot of bad invades happen in most MMRs because they don't track correctly, they track awfully, and it leads you to do a quadrant or invade a quadrant where there's no camps. You waste a lot of time, you have to do a random gank or force yourself to clear camps again. If you were seen, you get counter jungled. Bad invades are still counted when these things occur. But again, the final point here, a bad invade is when you flip them, and instead of using a burger analogy, let's use a mattress analogy. It's the equivalent of flipping your mattress every single night. It serves no purpose, it's pointless, and it takes a lot of effort. And the thing about these Graves and Bel'Veth plays, even these Kha'Zix plays I see them do, you don't have strong laners to begin with. Maybe they're not really in a moment where they actually want to help you and rotate with you should you make this aggressive play. This is what coin flip means. Maybe your bot lane rotates, maybe they don't. Maybe your mid lane rotates, maybe they don't. Maybe you kill them. Maybe you don't. You try and win or lose the game hardcore on a level 2 or 3 invade, and it just isn't good. It doesn't sit well because good fundamentals will always counter it, even if you get the kill. And I will show you again how this works. Now, what would be normal invades then, rather than just ignoring all of these things and going and, living according to your emotion and hormonal needs? A good invade is when you create prior for your laners through objective, through shadowing, through ganking. You put in the effort, and as you do the work, you will find as the game progresses, you will have greater opportunities to invade second buffs, to invade counter jungling opportunities, to push them out of a quadrant. That's the thing. When you invade with prio and outnumber the enemy jungler, you have advantages. And so if you think, hey, I'm Bel'Veth, I just have to invade the blue and the gromp, I need to take them out, I need to counter jungle it, but you don't understand the laner matchups, what's going to happen is you're going to die, your laners are going to have double buffs against them, and the enemy jungler will control things. And that's why laners also hate Bel'Veth and those kind of champions on their team, because it's just compromising when it really doesn't have to be. Thinking about a quadrant level invade or more strategic invades around different sort of cadences or lane states, that's the juice. Thinking deeply about the game. And no, there's no easy way to get around doing the work. That's why cheese strategies don't work in the long term. So when you want to do a normal level invade, it can be just to take a quadrant, just to counter juggle because the enemy jungle isn't there. They're on grubs, they're ganking top lane, they're dead. They decided to invade you and you actually put a ward down early, so now you get to vertical jungle. Amazing. Or you reverse cleared and you see them invade you after you've already done your clear, and then you counter jungle them again, or you gank their bottom lane. A bad invade is when you do none of the above. You expect to have prior, but you will never have it since you haven't influenced the map, you haven't influenced the laners to develop a prior for you. And so you maybe die, or you get nothing, or you probably die. Remember, prior also isn't the most obvious thing. Your bottom lane can be pushed up on the blue side, you invade the gromp, but if the enemy jungler shows up because you tracked badly, you think, oh, this is a good invade for Virkayu, I did a good job, correct? But then the enemy bottom lane is closer to you than your bottom lane is, even if the map is more open. And if your bottom lane is a little bit, like almost level 6 or getting a plate or a bit low on resources and wants to reset, the enemy laners will respond and kill you. So all you have to do is think a little bit about investing time into creating a situation where everybody can help you and the play makes the most sense with regards to tracking. Not just coin flip invade, can I kill you, sir? Because when you also don't do any of the above, tracking, looking for prio, creating prio, basically the 3-prong approach, and obviously maybe the fourth point there is thinking about your matchups, can I actually kill them at this stage? You waste time in precious moments. You lose tempo, you create tempo debt, and you're unable to actually play catch up if the enemy jungler is good at the game. And the reason we all hate Bel'Veth, because that's the title on the thumbnail, is because she doesn't abide by these rules. Graves as well. Let's look at a game where we all can fuel our hatred for Bel'Veth and the cringe that she presents to us, and then let's look at a second quick game showing you how to counter that bitch so you never have to worry about it again. So here's the thing, the Virkayu thinks, okay, how do I counter the psychopathic Raptors into top level invade? The Bel'Veth has not gotten vision down, the Bel'Veth is starting on the Raptors. There are no wards to see her, the Virkayu starts on the Raptors himself and immediately paths up to do the top side quadrant. A reminder in this case is if the Bel'Veth thought he was starting on the bottom side, she would just invade the top side. So he is basically saying, listen, let me get level 3 by doing Raptors, Wolves, Gromp, then the blue, and if she shows up at least on level 3, then we can have a good old fisticuffs. Also, Olaf has prior top side, Lissandra has prior in the mid lane. If she does this, it's dumb. And the reason we hate Bel'Veth is because most Bel'Veths do this anyway. They irritate you, they die, and it's like, what a waste of time. Can we just play the game properly? And here's the thing with this kind of clear against this kind of invade, it's a little bit difficult to actually execute because if you go red into blue and they do the Raptors into blue gromp, you're going to be caught level 2 as well, which is why I like a good old-fashioned ward, do a regular quadrant clear, and if I see them early, then I can vertical jungle. In this particular case, the Bel'Veth says, hey listen, I don't know where you began, so I'm going to do my red side quadrant. I have an Ashe. When she hits the Hawkshot arrow, amazing, I'm going to see you, press tab, track your CS, know that you're red and your Krugs are up because I F-keyed to click on you and so you didn't have the red, and then I will invade and kill you. And again, the problem is when junglers do this, it still has a little bit of coin flip because the Jarvan and the Ezreal could have moved sooner. They were closer, but they didn't really realize what the red team was doing. They weren't listening to pings, and thus the blue team doesn't react first, the red team does, and now the Virkaju's stuck in a pretty rough situation because the only camps he has on the map are down here, and the only camps that Bel'Veth has on the map are down here. Which means this is a good invade, and I hate to say it. It's even better because Kiana has now traded and gotten prior herself. So even if there were a fight that was longer than what it was, the Bel'Veth had the help. But here's the problem, because as long as she's got 4 Qs and she has her E and she can reset a Q with a knockup and of course CC you, what do you do against this champion 1v1? There's almost very little you can do. The mobility and the survivability is just disgusting. And now here's the thing that makes you hate the champion even more, and I'm going to explain what the Viego could have done regardless of this occurring. Now if I'm Viego, I take this to the next level and say, listen, have my Krugs. We know that the Bel'Veth is going to reset here, go to the bottom side scuttle. We know that the Ashe died and is going back to base. That's a benefit here. You get invaded. Yes, the Kiana and the Braum help, but your bottom lane 2v1's enemy ADC. Honestly, I'm happy with that, and that's pretty cool. Well done, guys. Thank you. You know that the Bel'Veth 99% started on her Raptors, that's what she does. So instead of basically compromising yourself tempo-wise, you know the Bel'Veth has absolutely everything here on the bottom side, including your blue side quadrant and your Krugs. She won't do the Krugs because she assumes you will come back down for them and Ashes and base being dead. So instead, when Bel'Veth thinks deeply about doing these kinds of invades, and that's a joke because they never think deeply at all, you know they get distracted by something shiny. Let them have the shiny object, enable that syndrome, go and take the top scuttle, look for a top dive. I know it's red side top lane, but at least have a look, think about it, F key, and then take her second spawn camps. A lot of junglers who start on the Raptors who intend to invade or sequence down will go Raptors, Krugs, red. So if they don't really get the action they want, those respawns come together, which means they can take the respawns together, not have to wait for the Krugs to respawn. The thing is, a good invading jungler like this understands that's where their best play is. So the Bel'Veth will do her wolves after doing the scuttle crab just to get something, get healthy, and then cut back up to the top side to take those Raptors away. So if this is the correct play for you, which is what I've indicated it is, it's only if you understand that the Bel'Veth will do something on the bottom side and then come up to take the respawn of the Raptors, and you are going straight to the scuttle, you're keeping your warding totem, you're placing deep vision to track where she's going to be, and you're going to try and take those Raptors before she shows up. And if she does show up, you have item advantage, maybe you can fight her, depends on your prio, depends on what the situation of the game is. If you determine that none of that suits you, and you're looking at your lanes and thinking, no way, then you do what the Viego did. You take your Krugs, you take your Raptors. There's nothing else you can do. And if the Bel'Veth, like she will at most submersed MMRs, stay on the blue side and go ahead and gank your bottom lane or do something else down there, you will get a full topside quadrant, you get your respawn of your topside quadrant as well, and you can sequence all the way down. You will have 3 quadrant control. You understand it? Those are basically your 3 level outcomes when you die to a good invade like this. You can still counter it, it just requires a bit more thinking. What this also might do is present you to be in a position where the Bel'Veth goes topside and ganks your top laner because it's pushing up, but you're shadowing it, you're able to react to it, you're able to rotate and clean up. Question mark, who knows if that happens, but I always like talking about the possibilities of how to counter this stuff and how to make the best of shitty situations. Also, I'm a really big supporter of kind of looking for the topside scuttle to control it, but it's all very well if you just want to give it up, assume she's taking it, and take your whole blue side quadrant away. Now, all of the rules of invades also apply to all the rules of doing grubs. If Viego just straight up went back to base, then tried to snowball bottom lane, invaded her bottom side quadrant to take those camps away, no one really cares what you do on the bottom side, but the worst thing you can do here is go and fight over the grubs and lose the game further. But that's also why everyone hates Bel'Veth, because they feel it's a little bit futile. You've got your level 5 Kayn against a level 3 Bel'Veth. Look at what happened to the Bel'Veth. Coin flips the entire fight. There's no reason for her to do these grubs down 2 levels. She shows up, item disadvantage, look at what she does to base form Kayn. How is that not the most irritating thing in the game when levels and gold advantages mean nothing? That's why Briar's been nerfed 1,000 times. That's why we hate Bel'Veth, because it's unskilled and it rewards bad jungling. However, that being said, a good Bel'Veth with good jungle fundamentals and good execution, that is damn well a challenger level outcome, and that's why Damex is in the private Discord and we always talk about this stuff, because he is a good Bel'Veth player and a good jungler. I mean, if you reach challenge with Bel'Veth and Sion jungle, I think, you probably know a thing or two. But that's the thing, is you watch a few highlights of Viego be dismantled by the Bel'Veth. All of this was undone by his own poor decision making. Even if the Bel'Veth made the right decisions, he made the first mistake and she just ran away with it. In this game, though, we have a Taliyah who will have the Raptors blue Grump invade against her, and that's why you can decide to start on the blue and the Grump, but against Bel'Veth, I recommend not doing it. I recommend just warding it up, seeing when she does it, and doing your reverse clear if you can do it, collapsing if you have the prio, or just vertical jungling. But as you see here, the Taliyah did not ward her buff. Ensure you do that if you start on the red side so you can make the right decision. Secondly, the Bel'Veth wards the wolves when she does the blue Grump, so she can go ahead and do the walls in case the Taliyah is also vertical jungling. This planet was once lifeless, there was a spark, and then there were cells. This Bel'Veth, like Monkey, had neuron activation and saw bottom lane was a gankable situation. She ganked it. Now Taliyah's on the wolves, sees this, realizes what's happened, and knows, right, I can try and take her red and Krugs, but no one beats her 1v1 at this stage at all, so why even go for it? Which means I can go top side, take her top scuttle, and maybe invade a blue side. Bel'Veth knows all of these things. And the problem for the Taliyah is that her top laner, for some reason, has the roam of the Qiyana. The Qiyana literally roam top lane instead of thinking about playing her own jungle here, which means Taliyah, even if she could maybe win it and 2v1 the enemy jungler, there's no point. You can't. You have no mid laner. So no prior means going to the top side. And now there's really nothing else for her to do. Yeah, she gets a scuttle. Yeah, she could try to do the blue buff, but the Camille will defend with the Bel'Veth to prevent the Taliyah from actually doing anything. From the Taliyah's perspective, the only thing you can potentially do here is actually go back to base, try get the bottom scuttle, let Bel'Veth be distracted with the blue side, and then maybe if Bel'Veth shows top lane or does the grubs, which he most likely will, she's obsessed, you can take the enemy bottom side jungle and do something about bot lane dive it, gank it, or whatever. Make sense? Instead though, we get caught out and we're killed, and yes, that's a potential possibility when you do these invades out of desperation, and that's very difficult to think by giving something up willingly, but trust me, if you've learned anything from these two examples of decent Bel'Veth invades, it's the best way to go when you are being the one invaded. When you're Bel'Veth, if you can think about invades like this, you see how much more respectable it is, when you're doing things properly and how much more potent it is, which means I don't mind seeing you invade. Your champion's just very basic and easy to use, don't think it's difficult at all. And the strategies that you do don't need to be irritatingly coin flip. You can actually just use the strategies of the rest of us, and you know what, guess what? Win games. But much like the Viego, the Taliyah does what's necessary. Instead of doing Krogs Raptors all the way down, she does Raptors first because she knows the Bel'Veth might try and invade that after the scuttle. We just control our jungle, sequence down, observe with our eyeballs, see what's going on, and if you can rotate and grab a kill, do so. If you cannot, give up, go back to base, try gank top lane, try and take the grubs. Try and eke out something where Bel'Veth isn't, so your tracking is important, your extrapolation is important. And of course, Bel'Veth shows bottom lane, goes for extra kills, tries to do something. Whether or not she's getting anything is irrelevant, you still have to play as if she's going to. So go ahead and take some of the grubs, take the first one, take the second one. You know she's going to be coming to the top side, so don't overstay. Loop back into your jungle and prevent her from taking your camps. Again, controlling your jungle when she's not around, that's how you counter her. And now this early game settled down and just do regular jungling. You show on grubs, I'm going to go ahead and take your bottom side camps. I'm going to use this angle of approach and, have a good gank off. And the Bel'Veth will have to follow me around a little bit. I get a bit of tempo control. And in the end, the red team actually wins this game because she weathered the storm nicely. Whereas the enemy Viego didn't make one mistake and Bel'Veth ran away with it. The problem is, all of these invades I've been getting against me that I mentioned in the intro, that we mentioned in the examples, they're dumb. They make no sense. I'm just trying to clear why are you running at my face and dying for it? You're coin flipping everything and it's such an irritating waste of time, it's horrible to face, and you should never be rewarded for it. That's why everyone hates Bel'Veth, because she is the queen of getting away with this with zero skill, and there's nothing much you can do about it other than use a very complicated strategy, and you know what, honestly a lot of people just aren't up to that level. So, in summary, we hate Bel'Veth, we hate coin flip invades, we hate Raptors into the blue side invade, but if you are one of those people who does that, everyone who watches this now knows how to counter it, so please try and think more deeply about invading well, and that goes for every single jungler here. And if you need help taking that to the next level, the video on your screen pretty much will guarantee that success.